Hi guys, Kate Marshall here from Inked Paper Art. I'm just popping on to do a quick little video showing you guys some of the new items that are coming to the live sale on Tuesday this week. These are all going to be available during my Tuesday night live sale. My live sales are streamed on YouTube and also onto Facebook. They start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all of this will be available then. But I also, while I have all of these antique books out here, wanted to talk to you guys about rag paper. You guys are always asking me how you can identify rag paper when you're looking at a book. And so let's go over some examples of different paper and talk about rag paper. So rag paper is important to us as artists because rag paper is made out of, a rag cotton, a rag linen, or a flax rag, and that makes it stronger than any other paper. It also holds the ink better than any other paper. So when we're constructing a book, for instance, we want some kind of paper that is going to be very durable and strong. It's going to let us sew in a signature. It's going to let us fold it, do all kinds of things to it, right? Because it's strong. That's why we like rag paper. And for artists who watercolor specifically, you want a rag paper because rag paper holds that color perfectly. As an artist, you don't want any type of synthetic fibers in there, right? So let's look at rag paper. This is a full leather book, meaning it has a leather front cover, a leather spine, and a leather back cover. And this one happens to have marble paper inside of it. This is marbled rag paper from the 1800s, and you can notice that it has a sheen on it. They didn't have glossy paper in the 17 and 1800s, so how they achieved a sheen on their paper was they took a stone, an agate stone, and they rubbed agate stones all over the marbled paper, and that imparted that sheen that you're seeing. Can you imagine how time consuming that was to do, right? It was probably done on higher quality books. This is rag paper, and I want to zoom in close here so that you guys can see it. This book is made from rag paper, and this one was printed in the 1800s. There's its Roman numeral dating system. But what we're looking at here is we're looking at the texture of the paper. And so see all of those tiny little lines in the paper? See how the texture has lines all over it? That is from the laid paper making process, meaning, let's talk about rag paper making, right? So how rag paper was made was, it was made from ground up fibers, oftentimes from linen rags like clothing and cotton rags and flax rags even. But at this time, most clothing, most material was made out of linen. And so linen, just like today where we try to recycle and reuse things, they were recycling and reusing linen. And they actually had rag dealers who would purchase the rags, the old clothing or, any type of old rag material, and they would gather it up and sell it to the paper mills. And when the rags came to the paper mills, usually women did this job. They would sort out the rag into different piles, right? Based on color and based on, fiber content. Occasionally they would have some cotton or something else, flax. So they would sort it into piles. They would remove any impurities like buttons or pins or anything like that from it. And then the rag would be ground up, beaten up into tiny little particles. They tried to get the particles as small as they could, and then they added some water and some other substances into a little bath with the pulp of the rag, and then they would use screens and pull out the pulp and make into sheets of paper. And then once those screens were pulled up through the liquid, all the little fibers would settle on the top of the screen, and that would make your sheet of paper. You would then lay out your sheet of paper onto a special cloth that would help dry it and press out the water. And then it was hung to dry just in the air. And that's a very brief overview of rag paper making. And so let me show you some examples of non-rag paper to help you identify the difference, right? So this is an American book, and you can tell it has wood pulp paper. So all paper made today, unless you get a specialty paper, is made from wood pulp paper. And that's made from trees, from wood. This is wood pulp paper, and you can notice how floppy the pages are, how easy I can just flip through this, right? If I show you up close, this paper is smooth. It doesn't have any texture to it. This is not laid paper. This is definitely a wood pulp smooth finish paper. And again, look at how floppy the pages are, because that's important. Your rag paper books will all have very strong paper in them, because the rag content, the fiber in those rag papers are so strong and durable that this book block will stand up. Like, I can flip through it, but it's not floppy. Like, it will just completely stand up on its own. Rag fibers, right? So linen fibers are so strong and durable that paper is so strong and durable that it will just stand up like that. Whereas if I come back over here and I show you this one again, this one will not stand up on its own. It is just completely floppy. And I show you a different example here, and it is also just made out of wood pulp paper. And so wood pulp paper, you know, it's not going to stand up on its own. It's just very, very floppy. It's smooth finish. And linen rag paper, you'll be able to feel the difference. This one is made from a wood pulp paper also. However, this one you can tell is aged. And so a lot of wood pulp paper, most wood pulp paper has a lot of acid in the process, the manufacturing process. And those acids over time tan and darken, and they darken your paper, they weaken it, and they make it brittle. So if you go to fold a piece of paper made from wood pulp, it's probably going to crack if it has any age or dryness to it, where you can fold rag paper all day long and it's not going to crack on you. This book here is made from cotton rag paper. This is an early 1800s French book, and cotton rag paper will have a telltale white appearance to it. And when you touch it and feel it with your hand, it's going to feel soft and fibrous like a cotton t-shirt. And so this one here is made of cotton, and you'll be able to see cotton rag paper there. So if it's really, really white and it's still fibrous, it's probably a cotton rag paper. If it's kind of a medium tone and you can, you know, feel texture on it, then it's probably a linen rag paper. Now let's talk about time frames, right? Because everyone asks me, well, when did they start using regular wood paper and when did they use rag paper? Well, the answer to that is pretty technical actually, because the time frames vary by country. So for instance, all of these books were printed in France, right? And so in France, they used rag paper throughout the entire 1700s and part of the 1800s. So if it's printed in the 1700s, it's definitely rag paper. If it's printed in the 1800s, I would say it's a 50-50 probability that it's rag paper. If it's printed in the 1900s, then it's definitely not rag paper unless they printed it on a specialty paper, which some bookmakers do, right? So that's a very brief overview of rag paper. And then I also have vellum here. So kind of history of paper making, right? We start in China and we start with mulberry paper. So these are examples of very old, there's actually Japanese, Chinese paper here. These are mulberry papers. So these are printed on mulberry paper. Mulberry paper is credited with being the very first paper that there was, although there was papyrus before that. But anyway, so there's mulberry paper. Then we went from mulberry paper to a kind of a vellum or a parchment, which is an animal skin. So this is tanned, prepared animal skin. This is what we used for paper before we had actual paper, right? So we used skins. This is an example of a handwritten vellum document. And you can hear the vellum, you can see that it is thick and it's, you know, it feels like animal skin, kind of like a kid leather or something like that. It's very soft, right? The Declaration of Independence is written on vellum or parchment, right? And parchment vellum, this is waterproof and fireproof. They used it for durability. So all of your important legal documents probably done on parchment or vellum. These are examples of rag paper ledger papers. These are all early 1800s French ones. And if I zoom in close, you'll be able to see the rag paper texture on that. And then this one is also rag paper. So rag paper was not only used in books, it was used for everything paper was used for at that time, including ledgers. This is a regular rag paper ledger page. So you can see that there is a variety of different surfaces out there for us as crafters and artists, whether it be rag paper, whether it be a wood pulp based paper, whether it be vellum, whether it be mulberry paper. There is a variety of surfaces out there for us to hunt down and craft with, and they all react differently to different mediums. So my advice to you would be is to get a variety of different types of substrates, different types of papers, and try them out. Watercoloring is notoriously good on rag paper. So if that's your medium of choice, rag paper is the way to go. All right, guys, I will let you go. I will do another preview video showing you guys some of the awesomeness on this table at a later time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful.